Hello my friends, it is January 31st, and did you guys know that today is Eat Your Brussels Sprouts Day? And Brussels sprouts either make you cringe or you're like, ooh, yum, I love Brussels sprouts. Well, I am one of those who loves Brussels sprouts. However, I did not like them as a child because the way that my mom cooked them when I was a kid was so horrible, and it stunk the house up, and it was just something I never thought I'd ever eat again in my life. And then eventually I had somebody who roasted them, and they were divine, and I have really enjoyed Brussels sprouts when they come into season. So before I show you what I'm going to do with my Brussels sprouts tonight for dinner, I thought that I would share with you some of the healthy benefits of incorporating Brussels sprouts into your diet. And so Brussels, it's actually Brussels sprouts. It's Brussels like the city. The veggie is named after the historical cultivation in Belgium, hence Brussels, Belgium. Brussels sprouts are part of the cruciferous family, and that includes, you know, some of its food cousins like cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, kale, collard greens, which are all winter greens. And today is January 31st, and it's a really, really cold day here on the central coast of California. And so it makes sense that they would be a winter green, because if you think of the way that the plant is grows, Brussels sprouts are on a stalk, and then you break them off of the stalk. But all of the winter greens, the kale, the collard greens, bok choy, cabbage, are very heavy and dense vegetables. Now, granted, because of technology and import-export systems, you can get them most of the year now. Where I live in California, they can actually be grown a big portion of the year, especially kale. However, if you want Brussels sprouts to be at their prime flavor, their sweetest is definitely in the winter because of the cold temperature and the nutrients that are in the soil. So Brussels sprouts are amazing. So if you've been a little hesitant to try them, after today, hopefully I'll inspire you to give them a whirl. Brussels sprouts are very low in calorie. It's less than 40 calories per cup, and they're also very low carb. There's only 8 grams per cup of raw Brussels sprouts, and there's 3 grams of fiber in that cup. So they're also very nutrient dense. They're antioxidant powerhouses, and if we know anything about antioxidants, we need more antioxidants in our diet to keep our cells going, keep them healthy. And they have found in studies that 2 cups of Brussels sprouts per day lessens damage to cells by 30%. So that's really, really good. The fiber in Brussels sprouts helps to regulate your blood sugar, supports digestive health. It helps feed the beneficial gut bacteria, which is crucial, you guys. I'm so bummed that we haven't taught a lot about how important our gut is to our overall well-being, but particularly our immune system, because really your immune system starts in your gut. And gut bacteria affects your mood, your immunity, and inflammation in your body. 1 cup of Brussels sprouts is packed with 150% of your daily need of vitamin C. Haven't we learned a lot about vitamin C and how important that is? It's 250% of your daily recommendation for vitamin K, which is super important for your blood clotting. It also plays a very important role in bone health, and it helps prevent bone loss. And especially women, as we age, we definitely have to pay attention to bone density loss. The anti-inflammatory power of Brussels sprouts is tied to the reduced risk of chronic diseases, including heart disease and cancer. The anti-inflammatory compounds, which protect cells from DNA damage, often fend off aging and help manage inflammatory conditions like type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, and also helps fight obesity. Compounds in Brussels sprouts act like natural detoxifiers, and that means that they help deactivate potentially damaging chemicals and shuttle them out of the body more quickly. So that helps your liver especially. And several studies have linked intake of cruciferous vegetables to the decreased risk of diabetes. And that, of course, is due to the fiber and the antioxidants. And they're also high in an antioxidant called alpha lipoic, LIPOIC acid, and it's been studied to show the improvement of insulin levels, and also helps with our nerves. So those are some of the great benefits of Brussels sprouts. So don't be afraid to try them. And you want to make sure that you're buying as local as possible, organic if at all possible, so that you will put the best form of nutrition into your body. So Brussels sprouts come in actually a couple different colors, you guys. Look, they have purple Brussels sprouts, and then of course we assume the green, right? But I love to get both when they're available, because I think color makes food more interesting, and I love color. So they can be used raw, shredded into a salad. Brussels sprout salad is really good, or you can mix it with other greens. You can shred them or cut them and do like a saute with onion, garlic, and kale as a little side dish, and maybe in replacement of doing mashed potatoes or something like that. And then what I'm going to do for dinner today is I'm going to roast my Brussels sprouts. I've already rinsed them in my colander, and then what you want to do is just take a look at your Brussels sprouts. If you have any leaves on the outside, and we do this with our cabbage as well, you just take a look, and if there's any ugly leaves, we just want to take these off. And I have a little compost bucket over here. And then what I like to do is just take the end off so it's nice and flat, sits on the cutting board so nicely. And then for roasting, I just literally cut them in half. So we're just gonna cut away, take off our weird little ugly leaves if we have any, and we're gonna go ahead and get these all ready for the oven. So what I'm gonna have for dinner tonight, besides the roasted Brussels sprouts, is I am going to take a pork tenderloin, which is the long skinny cut, very delicate part of the swine, and because they cook so fast, it's a perfect pair for doing roasted vegetables. And I am going to do a sheet pan dinner with the Brussels sprouts. I'm probably gonna throw some onions in there. I'm gonna see if I might have some potatoes in my pantry, and just cut everything up, put on one side of the pan, do the vegetables. On the other side, I'll have my little pork loin, and it's one dish dinner. And we love one dish dinners because it's less cleanup, and for a Monday, it's a very easy type of meal to do. And I just like to keep things as simple as I can on the weekday. And so part of Home Ec Express is teaching you guys life skills. And part of life skills is learning how to cook in the kitchen, making it simple, fun, delicious, and also nutritious. And it's super important that we're feeding our families appropriate foods. And yes, when you buy vegetables just like this in bulk at the grocery store, it's a little bit more work, of course, but every time that you buy pre-packaged vegetables, I want to remind you guys that, oh, look how pretty that is. Every time you buy pre-packaged vegetables where it's already, they've done half the work for you, you need to remember that they spray chemicals in those bags in order to keep them shelf stable and not decompose quickly. Because once we harvest our food and start processing it by cooking it, cutting it, things like that, the food will actually start breaking down as it's supposed to, because it's not getting water and oxygen anymore and nitrogen and whatnot from the dirt. It's going to start breaking down. And so they will spray all kinds of chemicals in the bag so that it still looks pretty 2 weeks later when you buy it at the grocery store. And they will sell Brussels sprouts in a bag already cleaned up. And when you open those bags, they're pretty stinky. So it's just something to think about. And I know that we're all pressed for time, but if we've learned anything the last few years, we really need to pay attention to our diet and what we're putting in our body for the sake of proper nutrition. So it's something to think about, and maybe work your way into incorporating more really fresh foods into your diet. Now, if you wanted to buy your Brussels sprouts like I did in bulk, but maybe today you didn't have enough time to prepare, you can always do this part 24 hours in advance, sometimes 48 hours in advance, and then put your produce in a sealed Ziploc bag in your refrigerator and squeeze the air out, okay? Because once food is harvested and you know, it needs oxygen to grow, but then once you've started cutting into produce, what happens is the oxygen is now the enemy and it starts breaking it down, because that's how like composting works, right? So you want to just make sure that you squeeze as much air out of that bag as you can, and then it will be you know, fresher, it'll last longer, and then you have some of your prep work for your weekday meals done ahead of time. And it's all about saving time, because it is possible to save time and eat nutritiously and nutrient-dense foods. Okay, you guys, so I have all of my beautiful Brussels sprouts here. I'm going to leave a little space for that pork tenderloin, probably add some potato. But what I do, the simplest thing, you guys, is just take a good quality olive oil. And this is one of the few olive oils that you can find at a commercial, regular grocery store that's actually real olive oil. And so a lot of the olive oil that you buy in the grocery store, because of the food labeling laws, is actually blended with canola oil or vegetable oil. And we know that canola oil is actually a cancer stimulator, so we don't want to be doing that. Canola oil is not the best for us. So real olive oil, I'm very fortunate to live in an area where olives do grow. And so we have all kinds of olive farms. You can get delicious, delicious olive oil around here. And one of my favorites is from the Groves on 41. They make this divine garlic olive oil where it's infused with fresh garlic, and they have another one that's jalapeno, which we love on popcorn. But you know, there's so much that you can do. You want to pay attention to, you know, the products that you're putting in your home. You're giving your family the best chance at a healthy, healthy life. Okay, so we just tossed around little salt and pepper. That's all you need to do. Now, another option, if you didn't want to roast your Brussels sprouts in the oven. Now, if you have an air fryer, okay, let me wash my hands just here for a sec. That I love my air fryer. And if you want maybe a little more crispy finish on your Brussels sprouts, which makes a great appetizer, by the way, because you know Super Bowl's coming and there's a lot of chips and dip, but sometimes you need to throw something in that's really healthy. My air fryer, it's from Pampered Chef, and I use it just about every day. So if I want a more crispy Brussels sprout, just do exactly what I did. Toss them in olive oil, salt and pepper, but then put them in your barrel like you were going to do French fries and whatnot. Throw them in the air fryer for about 10 minutes. They will rotate around, get nice and crispy. Oh my gosh, you guys, so fabulous. When I roast vegetables, do a sheet pan dinner, it's usually around 45 minutes in the oven at 400, 425. And then when these come out, now here's another delicious way, especially if you want to get your family into eating Brussels sprouts, make a balsamic glaze, okay? It's so easy, you don't even have to buy it at the grocery store. If you have balsamic vinegar, you just want to boil it until it reduces down by half and it becomes like a thick syrup. Oh my gosh. Now my one daughter, she loves honey over her roasted Brussels sprouts. So that gives you guys some ideas on how to serve this. So that's it for today for your National Eat Your Brussels Sprouts Day. A way better recipe than when I grew up as a child. They are so delicious, and this is the perfect time of year to start testing Brussels sprouts with your family, as they are truly a winter vegetable. And make sure that you guys subscribe at our YouTube channel for Home Ec Express, and go on over to homeecexpress.com, subscribe there as well, hear our weekly podcast and get updates for classes and free downloads and all that fun stuff. And then again, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. So I hope that you feel motivated today to try some Brussels sprouts, and I will be talking with you real soon.